Okay, first on the list we have a photograph of an ISS impact chip surrounded by nothing more than the vast expansion of dark space. It appeared on the International Space Station after a piece of space debris collided with the European-built cupola that had been added to the station back in 2010. The cupola, a dome-shaped formation which acts as an observatory and work area on the station, is equipped with 7 large windows that provide incredible views of space, Earth, and celestial objects. The area is also where the crew of the ISS operate the station's robotic arms. The windows are made with fused silica quartz sand, melted by electrical fusion, then rapidly cooled to avoid recrystallization, and borosilicate glass, a glass made with boron carbon oxide, much more resistant to thermal shock than any other glass type. As you can imagine, these window panes are not only incredibly strong, but they were built to last. And so of course, residents aboard the ISS were incredibly shocked to discover a 7mm diameter chip had been made in one of the windows, caused by a microscopic piece of space debris, most likely no more than a few thousandths of a millimeter. Of course, even minimal damage to any area of the space station is of great concern to the integrity of its structure as well as the safety of the residents, and so this comes as a very ominous warning sign of what might happen if an object, say the size of a golf ball, were to make impact. Next on the list we have an image captured of Tycho the zombie star. What is a zombie star, you ask? Well, it's a star that died in a fire explosion and then came back to life by sucking the matter out of other stars. Totally unrelated side note, our sun is a star. Anyways, zombie stars are generally referred to as Type 1a supernovas, a supernova being the biggest explosion that humans have ever seen, each blast being an extremely bright and super powerful explosion of a single star. So I guess in the simplest of terms available to space sciences, zombie supernovas are that, but twice. But that's not even what makes this photo of Tycho so scary. It's the fact that scientists believe that they can use Tycho as a way to practically measure dark energy. While it's currently just a working theory, dark energy is basically an anti-gravity force that fills the universe with negative pressure, expanding and stretching the very fabric of space and time. Think of dark energy as helium filling up a balloon, and the balloon as the universe. The dark energy helium pushes against the parameters of our universe balloon, making it grow bigger and bigger at a rapid rate. Lucky for us, the universe isn't actually a balloon, so we don't really need to worry about it popping, but you might consider what would happen if, due to expansion, our planet became too far from the sun. Next on the list, we have this incredibly haunting photograph of an astronaut free-floating in the endless expansion of space. The photo depicts astronaut Bruce McCandless II participating in the first ever spacewalk in which an astronaut is completely detached from the ship. No tether or rope whatsoever. Instead, he is equipped with a nitrogen-propelled hand-controlled device called the Manned Maneuvering Unit, MMU, which allows him to maneuver around the International Space Station with much more ease than if he were attached to a tether. Pretty cool, but also pretty scary, because if the MMU were to fail on him, with no way to maneuver himself, McCandless would become caught in Earth's orbit, floating slowly around in the vacuum of space until his orbit, and the orbit of the ISS, which makes 16 full rotations around the Earth per day, eventually matched up. At which point in time, however, rescue would prove futile, as hypoxia, which is a lack of oxygen, would have already claimed the life of the astronaut. Okay, well, actually what would happen is the Soyuz, which is a small transport vessel, would be detached from the ship to rescue the astronaut and bring him back safely aboard the ISS. But I bet I had you in the first half, though. Next up, we have a generated photo released by NASA showcasing the inevitable head-on collision of our own galaxy with a neighboring galaxy by the name of Andromeda. When this happens, it is predicted by NASA that our sun will be flung into a new region of our galaxy, leaving Earth and our entire solar system to become frigid, lifeless, and inhospitable. The worst part of all of this is that it's scheduled to take place in the year 2026. I'm obviously kidding. It's actually scheduled for 4 billion years from now, so I highly advise against draining your bank account and telling your boss what you really think of them anytime soon. This information was discovered using the Hubble telescope and extremely complicated data processing, which allowed scientists and astronomers to track the trajectory of the galaxies as well as their speeds. Oh, and one more thing. If you're not one of those people who think three's a crowd, you'll be happy to know that while the majority of the cataclysmic collision will be solely between Andromeda and our own Milky Way, there is a third party at play. The Triangulum galaxy that is actually racing against Andromeda in an effort to merge with the Milky Way first. Damn, the universe just can't get enough of us, can it? I'm gonna cut you guys some slack at our halfway point today and offer an insanely beautiful, slightly ominous, and incredibly humbling photograph of Earth taken from the Cassini-Huygens, a highly sophisticated robotic spacecraft orbiting Saturn on July 19th of 2013. Cassini had been sent into space in 1997 to study the complex makeup of Saturn's rings as well as its many moons, 146 moons to be exact, making Saturn our solar system's reigning most moons champion. While this photo isn't the most bone-chilling, it's a pretty haunting reminder of the insignificant reality of our existence. But again, before you go draining your bank account, just remember that in an instance like this, where you realize nothing really matters, it just means you get to be the one that decides what really matters to you. Wow, things got pretty deep there for a moment, so let's talk about pumpkin stars. Pumpkin stars are stars that spin so fast they actually flatten themselves into the shape of gourds. The reason these stars spin so rapidly is thought to be due to the fact that they are created by the merging of two separate sun-like stars into one. It's like when two line dancers hook arms and swing each other around the room, using the rotations of the other to improve the speed of their own until they merge into one massive pumpkin-shaped country music fan. Well, I guess it's not really like that, but it kind of is. Anyways, the rare star, or should I say stars, as astronomers have discovered 18 of these guys since May of 2009, were found using X-ray detection and star mapping. This worked incredibly well because these Halloween-ready, catastrophic supernovas waiting to happen produce X-rays at levels more than 100 times the peak levels of X-ray production ever recorded from our own sun. Oh, and some of these pumpkin stars measure up to 10 times larger than our sun as well. Next up, we have another ominous photograph taken from space of the eye of a typhoon hovering in Earth's atmosphere, showing off the extreme magnitude of our planet's natural forces. The image was captured by members aboard the ISS on March 31st of 2015 as the storm made its way towards the Philippines. The astronauts looking down into the eye of the storm stated that it was an incredibly unsettling image and even compared it to images of black holes, with the clouds circling the eye resembling disks of glowing matter being pulled into the center of a black hole. When Typhoon Masek did eventually touch down, it caused many fatalities as well as inflicted mass amounts of destruction to properties and land in the Philippines, China, Yap, Chuk, the Marshall Islands, and the Caroline Islands as well. Next on the list, we have an image of a gigantic solar flare that occurred when the intense magnetic fields of the sun became tangled up in one another, then snapped back into place, causing this drastic reaction. When solar flares occur, the energy released is more than 1,000,000 times greater than energies released during the largest megavolcano eruptions on Earth. While it is incredibly rare that a solar flare reaches Earth, it does happen, and the outcome is not so good. If you see my video on doomsday cults, you remember that one of my biggest fears is the existence of humanity coming to an end as the result of global power grid failure. If you haven't guessed where I'm going with this, allow me to explain. In rare cases where solar flares have reached Earth, they have created geomagnetic storms which can absorb and reflect radio frequencies, disrupting communication and satellite systems. And these findings aren't just speculation. In 1859, the largest solar flare to hit Earth caused massive disturbances in our magnetic field and disrupted telegraph systems, causing them to spark and catch fire. This later became known as the Carrington event. Now, just imagine if we were to get hit by an even bigger solar flare today, which is completely probable, by the way. With the amount of new electronic devices in use in the 21st century, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to imagine the insane amount of damage that would be caused. This next one is for my sci-fi fans. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. In fact, I like you guys, so I'm gonna hit you with a 2-for-1. The first is a photograph captured by the Mars rover of a doorway found on Mars, carved into the rock on the surface of the planet. The passageway appears to be leading to some kind of underground bunker, and while scientists have denied the entrance's existence, many hold firm that what they saw was in fact an entryway to a secret alien meeting spot. I don't know, you guys. What do you think about this one? The second and final photograph in our Mini Mars series is a mysterious light. On June 16th, the rover snapped a series of images, of which one showcased a mysterious glowing light off in the distance. The key here is that only one of the images showed the unknown light source. If the glow had been spotted in all of the images, it might have been chalked up to light reflection or a speck of dust on the lens. But again, that's not the case. Some scientists believe the light to have been caused by a cosmic ray hitting the planet's atmosphere, but again, let me know what you guys think. And finally, to finish this off today, we have a series of haunting images taken on the ISS, complete with mood lighting fit for a romantic extraterrestrial date night. The photos were taken by Alexander Gerst during the night after the rest of his colleagues had gone to bed. Okay, I'm a full-on adult and I'm still scared of the dark sometimes, and that's on Earth, so I can only imagine how it would feel to roam around the International Space Station in the dead of night with nothing more to guide me than the dim green glow coming from the ship's various equipment stations. I guess it's not so bad though. You see, the ISS actually orbits around the Earth once every 90 minutes, so even though these images are incredibly eerie, the darkness only lasts for about 45 minutes each time it comes. But even with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and chop this one up to a big fat no from me.
So we're starting off with a photo that was apparently lost for decades, but just resurfaced a few years ago. The Calvine photo, said to be one of the most convincing UFO photographs ever taken. On August 4th of 1990, two men who were working as chefs in a hotel in the Scottish Highlands decided to go for a walk that summer evening in the hills near Calvine. And in the middle of their hike, they spotted something in the sky, this big diamond-shaped object hovering up there. Apparently it made little to no noise as well. They managed to snap this picture here. The hikers sent the image to the paper, but instead of printing it, the newspaper handed it over to the British Ministry of Defence, and they kept it under wraps until 2022, when British journalist David Clarke finally brought it back into the light. After digging for 13 years, Clarke, who teaches at Sheffield Hallam University, discovered that a former Royal Air Force press officer, Craig Lindsay, had a copy of the photo all along, waiting for someone to ask about it. Clarke also had his colleague Andrew Robinson, a photography expert, examine the photo. Robinson found no evidence of tampering or manipulation. So, is this flying object of extraterrestrial origin? Well, Clarke believes it is a genuine UFO, just maybe not an alien aircraft. He thinks it could be the rumored Aurora, a super secret spy plane supposedly built by the US in the 80s.
Next up on our list today, we have a series of photographs of real-life aliens found in 2017 in Peru near the pre-Columbian Nazca lines. Analysis done on the body of the aliens, named Clara and Mauricio, showed that they are at least 1,000 years old and that their genetic makeup is not of this world. Although the findings are controversial, that's to be expected, and widely disputed, also expected, many people believe that Clara and Mauricio are modern civilization's first look at real-life humanoid alien bodies, and they see the discovery as a major scientific advancement in relation to our understanding of extraterrestrial beings. The lead researcher on the case said that the bodies, with 3 fingers on each hand and elongated heads, were found with another, going by the name of Victoria, which was used to conduct the tests that determined the age of the bodies and the genetic material. In the report, lead researcher Musan also stated that Victoria had been carrying eggs inside of her, meaning that it was likely these creatures were able to reproduce offspring and that Victoria was getting ready to when she died. Whether or not the whole thing is a big elaborate hoax remains to be seen. However, despite harsh criticism coming from Musan's peers and the scientific community as a whole, he continues to maintain the validity of his findings, making this kind of believable.
Take a look at these wild photos. These are some genuinely unsettling images right here. There's a lot of mystery behind these pictures. There's still no definitive explanation for them. All we know is that the photos surfaced about 10 years back. Supposedly, they were taken from a US submarine traveling between Iceland and islands near Norway. Alex Mistretta, a paranormal investigator, started looking into these pictures after they popped up in a French magazine called Top Secret, following a supposed leak. The photos were allegedly snapped in March of 1971 through the submarine USS Trepang's periscope during a regular military and science mission. A guy named John Kalika first spotted the UFOs through the periscope. We don't know who actually took the images. The pics were shared to the public by Alex, after he saw them in that magazine, and there were some curious notes on the back of one of the photos. It said official photograph, not to be released, CT, and another note that read unauthorized disclosure subject, security certificate SSN 674, criminal sanction. I don't know, what do you guys think of these? Genuine, hoax? I mean, some of these images are pretty insane. I mean, if they weren't doctored in any way.
Next on our list today, we have the McMinville UFO photographs taken in none other than Sheridan, Oregon, approximately 9 miles southwest of McMinville by a local farming couple, Paul and Evelyn Trent. On May 11th of 1950, the pair spotted these strange objects in the sky and rushed to grab their camera. They then captured some of the most captivating UFO images to date. It was Evelyn who first noticed the alleged spacecraft hovering in the sky above the farm. She yelled for her husband Paul, who also confirmed the sighting and was the one to capture the images. Paul's father also claimed to have caught a glimpse of the object before it sped off into the sky. Don't know why I did that. A third-party analysis confirmed that the photographs were not doctored and that they showed a real physical object in the sky above the Trent family farm, and that the object was sitting at a significant distance from the lens of the camera. So basically, it was proven that it wasn't just some kind of bug flying nearby the lens. Whether or not you believe in aliens, UFOs, or UAPs, you gotta admit these images are pretty cool.
In 2023, the Pentagon released footage that was taken in the Middle East the previous year. The footage was captured on July 12th, 2022 with an MQ-9 Reaper drone. They're still not sure what this object is. The mysterious orb footage was shown to a congressional committee as part of a defense update on UFOs or UAPs. We can clearly see a small round object that looks like it's shimmering as it flies over houses and empty fields. Sean Kirkpatrick, who heads the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, mentioned that this footage is pretty much all the info they have on this thing. They don't know where it came from or what its purpose was. The Pentagon also disclosed that they were looking into over 650 incidents involving UFOs.
Next up, if we are going to do a video about real alien photos, I feel it's only right to include a photograph of the most famous UFO sighting and interaction to date, the Battle of Los Angeles, or the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, which took place on February 23rd of 1942, just 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The night the photo was taken, all of Los Angeles was directed to go under blackout by the US military. After all the lights on the ground turned off, the sky above LA was suddenly lit up by a large handful of strange, unidentified flying objects. The military then fired into the sky, and the public watched in utter shock as 1,400 rounds of ammunition fired at the airborne, seemingly extraterrestrial objects appeared to have no effect whatsoever. Smoke filled the sky, and when it cleared, not a single craft was to be found in the sky or on the ground. 5 civilians died after being hit by materials that appeared to have ricocheted off of the intended targets. 3 were killed in car accidents due to the chaos of the event, and 2 more died of heart attacks due to the stress of the event, which was 2 hours long in total. If this isn't legit, I don't know what is. That's pretty crazy.
Next up, we have some mysterious UFO footage that was taken in Wales. So in September of 2016, a police helicopter flying over the Bristol Channel in Wales around 9 p.m. spotted something in the sky. It was only visible on the chopper's thermal camera, cruising at about 106 miles per hour against the wind. Former cop Gary Haseline later released the full video footage, urging the UK government to come forward with whatever they knew about UFOs. Of course, they didn't. Police thought it could have been a drone at first, but the object was moving pretty fast. Faster than any known models at the time. Apparently the thing was picked up by local air traffic control and emitted heat. Haseline stated, "This is verified. Police helicopter helicopter FLIR footage showing an object not seen with the naked eye but clearly seen in the infrared spectrum. It is moving against the wind, so it is not a balloon, nor is it emitting any heat signature indicating a propulsion system.
Next up, we have a photograph taken on May 1st of 1952 at 7:58 a.m. by George Adamsky, who claims to have seen multiple UFOs flying over his backyard in Mount Palomar during the 1940s all the way through to the 1960s. Although many renowned UFO experts have been unable to back his claims, Adamsky maintains firm in his belief that he was able to capture not only this image of a cigar-shaped mothership flying in front of the moon seen here, but also the image of 6 unidentified flying objects he believes to be alien spacecrafts arising from the moon and flying in formation, which you can now see here. These images gained such notoriety in their time that for a while a rendering of the 6 spacecraft photograph was featured in a postage stamp in Grenada in 1978. Not only did Adamsky claim to have taken a number of other images, which were unfortunately destroyed, he also claimed to have communicated with the aliens aboard these ships using symbols, hand gestures, and even telepathy. Whether or not he's telling the truth, I personally believe he would make a hell of an entertaining dinner guest.
This footage was captured in 2004 by Mexican Air Force pilots. They'd been on a routine flight when they spotted several glowing objects on their infrared cameras. They couldn't actually see the objects with the naked eye. There were 13 of these objects in total, flying over the skies of southern Campeche state. This is a solid piece of footage right here. At one point we get a nice long look at the glowing objects flying in perfect formation across the sky, and yeah, I don't know what they are. I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but the pilots also had no idea what they were picking up and tried to pursue the objects, but they just lost track of them. They flew away at incredible speed. The footage wasn't released until 2010, and ever since, it's been cited as one of the most convincing examples of a genuine piece of UFO footage.
And finally, we have some more video footage coming to us straight from the declassifieds. I'm talking about UFO documents released to the public by the Pentagon after so many years of adamantly denying the existence of such phenomena. On January 15th of 2023, cameras were set up to survey an MQ-9 Reaper aircraft when all of a sudden, an unidentified aerial presence was captured on that same video, moving at speeds unreachable by any kind of modern-day aircraft. It was shocking to say the least, but it actually gets crazier. The object was moving so fast that it appeared to actually disrupt the atmosphere surrounding the craft, leaving behind an atmospheric wake in lieu of a jet stream as it disappeared completely into the sky. It sounds pretty unbelievable, but as I said, the footage was literally released by the Pentagon, who have done a complete 180 on their denial of UFOs and have now actually asked the public to come forward and submit any authentic images or encounters with UFOs or UAPs to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the ADARO, but I would personally love it if you shared any stories you have down below. The first image is a screen grab from a video filmed by a US Marine officer on the 20th of April in 2021 on a military base in 29 Palms, California. After the release of the photograph, multiple Marines came forward to confirm the existence of an aircraft, saying that while the photo showcases only the triangle-shaped formation of bright lights, in person the men were able to make out the black body of the aircraft as well. The unidentified flying object is said to have hovered for 10 minutes in the air before it suddenly vanished without any trace. The men were able to rule out flares for being the cause of the mysterious lights, but were never able to figure out exactly what they saw that night. However, it appears the footage has not been taken lightly, as the Pentagon has started an investigation into just what exactly was seen on the night of April 20th of 2021 in the skies above the 29 Palms military base. Next up, we have a series of photographs taken by cosmonaut Ivan Vanger in August of 2020 whilst aboard the International Space Station that appears to depict 5 unidentified flying objects flying at the same speed while maintaining the same distance between each other as well as their surroundings, moving in a straight line just above the Earth's curved horizon visible in the night sky. Vanguard, both surprised and curious, took to Twitter, now named X, to share the footage in hopes of getting some clarity as to exactly what he was looking at. In an exciting unfolding of events, his tweet was picked up by the Russian space agency Roscosmos cosmos, and a spokesperson revealed that experts were in fact studying the video in an attempt to determine what exactly Vanguard had managed to capture. Did you guys know that Japan was a major hotbed for UFO activity? Because I didn't. But apparently the Pentagon does? In fact, UFO sightings are so common in Japan that its military has reportedly ordered all pilots to disclose any and all identified flying objects directly to the Japanese government. Not only that, but Japanese self-defense forces have also undergone extensive training in relation to UFO sighting protocol. To date, 6 alleged encounters between pilots and UFOs have been reported to the Japanese government, one of which was recorded, and depicts 10 white circular balls flying through the skies of Osaka in Japan. While the government has yet to publicly comment on any of the incidents, the update of self-defense protocol alone is pretty telling. The next image was shared by a pretty reputable source, National Geographic. The image was captured by Sergio Loaiza on September 4th of 1971 during an aerial survey of Lake Cote. Everything seemed pretty normal until the photos were taken back to Loaiza's development lab, where he noticed something very strange. A metallic flying aircraft, estimated to have a diameter of 160 feet, was located in the corner of one of the photographs. When he presented the photos to his superiors at the National Geographic Institute, they shut him down quick, forbidding Sergio as well as his colleagues from sharing any information of what they had seen that day. In 1979, however, the photograph was leaked, and the object that appeared in the image was officially classified as an unidentified flying object. In 2021, the existence of the object was again confirmed after the original copy of the photograph was scanned, and it was revealed that the UFO's presence was more than just a scratch on the lens or a piece of dust in the wind. So what do you think it was? Let us know in the comments. Next up, we have footage that comes to us straight from the declassifieds. Remember how I told you at the beginning of the video that the government quite literally copped to the fact that they have been hiding the existence of UFOs for years? Well, they did, and they came with receipts. On the 15th of January in 2023, while surveilling an MQ-9 Reaper aircraft, an unidentified aerial presence was captured moving at speeds unreachable by any of Earth's modern-day technological advances. Not only this, but as the object whizzed through the field of view of the camera lens, it appeared to leave behind an atmospheric wake before disappearing completely into the sky. Guys, if you have any, please leave your UFO and alien stories in the comments. I would love to hear about your experiences with any of these kind of things. Next up, we have arguably the most beautiful alien assuming photograph I have ever seen. The photo was taken in 2004 by a retired Royal Air Force officer while on vacation in Sri Lanka. The site was described as some kind of colorful giant donut in the sky with hues of oranges, pinks, purples, and whites. After its capture, the photograph was turned into the Royal Air Force Flying Dales Base in North Yorkshire in England, where it became a classified document held by the Ministry of Defense. The image has since been declassified, of course, and is now available for public viewing, but there is still a lot of mystery surrounding the photo as well as the photographer, as his identity, along with any other information regarding the incident, is pretty much non-existent. I mean, come on, it's a giant glowing light in the sky. You're really telling me no one else saw this and that there's no other information out there other than the fact that the photo exists? Oh yeah, and not only that, but it was deemed classified by the British Ministry of Defense, so I'm thinking there's something else going on here. Okay, I bet you didn't know that another major hotbed for extraterrestrial, UFO, and unidentified aerial phenomenon activity was Brazil. I mean, I did, but maybe you didn't. In fact, this kind of thing is so popular in Brazil that they have an annual day of recognition for these sightings known as the Night of the UFO, which came to be after a major event took place in 1986. On the night of May 19th, a series of unidentified flying objects were seen in the skies of Brazil, and even more non-visual objects were detected via radar across the skies of 4 Brazilian states. Of course, at this time, any and all knowledge the government had on the event was extremely classified. In May of 2012, however, Brazil's Freedom of Information Act went into place, after which the public demanded the release of all the documents relating to the incident. The government complied, and not only released written documents of the events, but also a series of photographs depicting depicting strange activity within the skies above Brazil. Although the images of what appeared to be nothing more than squiggles and clouds of smoke didn't provide much clarity, a statement made by the Minister of Aeronautics did. He said, "This command is of the opinion that the phenomena are solid and reflect, in a certain way, intelligence, due to the ability to follow and maintain a distance from observers, as well as to fly information." After this statement was made, the Brazilian government has still not been able to confirm exactly what took place the day the night of the UFOs was born. Next, we have a photo taken in 1990 by two Scottish chefs who were working in a hotel near the area in which the photograph was taken. After a long day of work, it appears the two men had decided to take a hike in an attempt to blow off some steam. While this walk wouldn't end up being incredibly relaxing, it would be wildly exciting, as not long after the two men had set off on their journey along the Calvine Scottish countryside, they noticed something hovering above them in the sky. The object was not one that either of the men could identify, and so they pulled out their cameras in an attempt to document the 100-foot flying aircraft instead. The photos, which have been analyzed and show no signs of manipulation, capture the object being circled by a jet plane. They thought the incident was incredibly strange and even newsworthy, so the two turned the footage over to the local newspaper for publication, but the images were seized by the British Ministry of Defence and were never released. Until 32 years later, that is, by David Clark, who, unbeknownst to the ministry, had kept a photocopy of one of the original images. The identity of the two men was never revealed, nor did they ever come forward to share their story after the images had been seized by the ministry, begging the question of what exactly they saw and what exactly the government was trying to cover up. A photograph taken of an unidentified aircraft lit up by military spotlights in Los Angeles, California, is next on the list. The photograph, which documents an event so big it later became referred to as the Battle of Los Angeles or the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, was taken on February 23rd of 1942, just 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. On the night the photo was taken, all of Los Angeles was under blackout, as directed by the US military. While the lights on the ground had been turned off, the sky above had been lit up by a myriad of strange objects. The military opened fire, and onlookers stood absolutely stunned as 1,400 rounds of ammunition appeared to have no effect on the unidentified flying object. Smoke filled the sky, and when it cleared, not a single craft was to be found in the sky or on the ground. Shrapnel that appeared to have ricocheted off the target resulted in the death of 5 civilians. Furthermore, 3 were killed in car accidents due to the chaos of the event, and 2 more of heart attacks due to the stress of the 2-hour-long attack. And finally, we have a handful of screen grabs from a video taken by Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich whilst flying an 18F Super Hornet fighter jet over the Pacific Ocean near San Diego during a training mission for the United States Navy. The footage, taken in November of 2004, was captured after Dietrich was asked to investigate a suspicious object that had been seen dropping from 80,000 feet down to the surface of the ocean and then vanishing. When Alex and their colleague arrived on the scene, the ocean's surface, where the object had been reported, appeared as though it was boiling. Moments after arriving to investigate, a strange, elongated white object came into view and was captured on video hovering above the water before it disappeared into the sky at an impossible speed, leaving no wake in the oceans below. While the footage has been confirmed to be authentic by the United States Department of Defense, the object itself, along with its origins, remains a mystery.
Spotted by the Akatsuki spacecraft in 2015, a massive wave was observed traveling across the surface of Venus. Stretching for 10,000 kilometers, the wave continued up until Venus's cloud tops, where it suddenly became stationary. It is good to note that the average traveling speed of clouds in Venus' upper atmosphere roughly caps out at about 100 meters per second. The source of the wave is undetermined, with theories being tossed around that it might have been caused by a rogue gravity wave, which itself would have been caused by the displacement of a fluid from its preferred position. As Venus is an extremely volatile planet, and no research craft has survived for longer than a couple of minutes on its surface, these claims are difficult to prove, and the secrets of this blue dot remain hidden beneath its swirling clouds. Number 9. Oumuamua. On October 19th, 2017, an object was sighted from the University of Hawaii. Classified as a comet, the object is thin and flat, roughly a quarter of a mile long. But more importantly, it was picking up speed. If you don't remember middle school science, an object in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by an object of similar or equal mass. In space, because there is nothing to act upon the object to slow it down, any velocity will be kept until impact. But an increase in velocity doesn't make sense without propellant. So what was moving Oumuamua? Well, the theory goes that it might contain a chunk of solid hydrogen, which was slowly falling off of the object's surface and allowing for an increase in speed. However, studying the comet is completely impossible, as it's the first observed object to fly into our system and then fly back out. So this theory is just kind of unconfirmed, and we may never know where the traveler came from, nor where it did go. Number 8. PSO J318.5-22. Discovered yet again by our friends at the University of Hawaii, PSO J318.5-22 is a rogue planet floating through space without a star for it to orbit. It's estimated to be roughly the size of Jupiter, but as to where it came from, no one has a clue. Theories about some hoping that it may have been kicked away from its home star due to a gravitational anomaly, but who can say? None but the rogue planet know. Number 7. The Diamond Planet. Discovered in 2004, Janssen is an exoplanet close to the star Cancri A. Years later, the planet was determined to be a carbon planet, a theoretical type of planet with more carbon than oxygen. As a result of this, it is theorized, due to the method of which diamonds are created, that within Janssen could lie an absolute abundance of diamonds. However, getting to it would be difficult. See, Janssen's proximity to the sun is so small that average temperatures are estimated to be around 17,000 degrees Celsius. So good luck getting close enough to snag some stones. Honestly, the scariest thing to me is that someone might actually try this, for reasons that I doubt even the greatest minds could truly comprehend, beyond, I guess, greed. Number 6. The Vampire Star. Halloween's over, but the true horror fans know that it lasts all year long. Not just limited to our solar system, the existence of Hammer horror classic monsters has clearly reached the stars, specifically symbiotic stars. See, when two stars are formed in proximity to one another, their mass will draw in the hydrogen from the other star, which will deplete its life, turning it into a white dwarf. From there, the white dwarf will go supernova, annihilating both in the process. What scientists have difficulty explaining is how such celestial entities exist, and worst of all, how some have survived the supernova. It's hypothesized that Betelgeuse, the star, not the ghost, is what's called a cannibal star, and before we observed it, Betelgeuse must have sucked the life out of another star. So why can we still see Betelgeuse today, despite the fact that the other star would have gone nova? Wait, did I say it 3 times? Number 5. The huge LQG. Quasars are extremely supermassive black holes that are surrounded by accretion disks, which then release their generation of a beam as pure radiation. We'll get into that later. Cool. And slightly terrifying, right? Well, the huge LQG is made up of a cluster of 74 quasars. 74. Originally believed to be impossible, this massive cluster of black holes and radiation defies both science and sense just by its existence. The huge LQG has a rough span of 4 billion light years, easily the largest structure in the universe, and by far larger than our own. Number 4. The Boots Void. Do you know what's more terrifying than something? Nothing. And the Boots Void is just that. Nothing. A region of space where there is simply nothing. And to be clear, this isn't Barnard 68, the dark nebula that eats light. No. This is just nothing. Several galaxies do surround it, but none exist within its center. There's nothing within the void. There may never have been, and there maybe never will be. Or maybe there's just something keeping everything else out. Number 3. The incoming megacomet. Did you know that every year 17,000 meteorites fall to Earth. Now, most of these just burn up in the atmosphere, usually long before they're visible. The ones that can be seen are the ones that are actually dubbed meteors. But what if a meteor couldn't burn up in the atmosphere? Spotted by the Hubble telescope, the comet Bernstein is currently flying right towards us at around 72,000 miles per hour. 60 miles across, the meteor is roughly half the theorized size of the asteroid responsible for ending the age of the dinosaurs. But nevertheless, this cosmic catastrophe could cause considerable consternation were it to collide with our rock. So, when does it get here? Well, don't bother looking up because it isn't gonna come within like 1 billion miles of us. Even so, if it changes course, even slightly, we could be looking at a pretty dark future. Number 2. Gamma ray bursts. There's a distinct beauty to black holes, their swirling light collapsing into a mass so dense as to erase light itself. Their byproducts are gamma ray bursts, these streams of light that fire out of what would be visualized as the top and bottom of the black hole. It sort of looks like a gyroscope, only one that, defies physics and erases matter. Well, as it turns out, even the most beautiful parts of this flower can be its deadliest, as gamma ray bursts are explosions of high-intensity radiation that could cook anything in its way in a matter of seconds. So it's a good thing that, stars aren't dying out regularly, and even better that our planet has never been hit by a gamma ray burst before. Oh wait, it actually totally was. Well, the effects wouldn't exactly be, Death Star adjacent. If close enough, the radiation would absolutely be lethal, and close in terms of spatial proximity could be anywhere, honestly. Comforting thought. Number 1. The CMB cold spot. The CMB cold spot was discovered by the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, a device primarily constructed to measure cosmic background radiation and test the theory of the Big Bang. The cold spot was added to a structure that is titled, I'm not joking, the Axis of Evil, a name given to any anomaly that deviates from the Copernican principle. Far larger than the Boots void, temperatures within the cold spot are around 0.00007 Kelvin. The average in space, of course, is about 2.7 Kelvin. What caused the creation of the cold spot is unknown, but physicist Laura Mersini Houghton claimed that it could be an imprint from a parallel universe.
While the idea of a human coming back to life and hunting for brains is spooky, to me the knowledge that dead stars can do the same, even the eating each other part, is both scary and exciting. This is Tycho, a former white dwarf, which is a star that has, quote, died and gone supernova, exploding into a fantastic show of cosmic energy and matter with the power and brightness of 1 billion suns. And usually a white dwarf will stay dead, but not in a binary system where there's more than one star at the center. Sometimes these previously deceased stars can come back to life. And they do this by feeding off the energy and material from their neighboring star and powering themselves back up, not unlike a zombie eating somebody's brains. Scientists believe that this may have to do with what they call dark energy as well, which theoretically makes up about 3/4 of our universe, but since we have yet to truly detect or understand it, these zombie stars will remain a mystery. But they look super cool, right? Number 9. Alien bones. Captured on August 14th, 2014 by the Curiosity rover, this photo appears to show something on the surface of Mars that could chill you to the bone. A femur on the surface of the red planet. Many conspiracy theorists and alien enthusiasts alike hopped onto this to show it as proof that there was once life on Mars, or even that humans had been there before on some sort of secret mission that went awry. NASA has gone on the record to say that it's not a thigh bone, but just a rock that happened to be shaped that way after erosion from wind or water, which we have proven existed at one point. But come on. If it really was a bone, do you think that they'd tell us? Though I'm inclined to go with the scientists on this one, it would be kinda cool if we had proof of aliens on Mars. If you think there are aliens out there, hit the like and subscribe buttons to help us bring you the most amazing videos on them. Number 8. Eye of Sauron. The Rings of Power just finished its first season as I'm recording this video, and since I still have Tolkien on the brain, this photo of the Fomalhaut system made the cut. A relatively young system at 440 million years old. For comparison, our sun is about 4.5 billion years old. Fomalhaut and its surrounding disk of space dust have been the subject of a lot of controversy in the astronomical community. The images captured interest scientists not only because they look like they came straight from Mordor, but because of the zombie planet that has been tricky to find. The photos taken show that the dust ring is not centered around the star, but is shifted and elongated into the eye shape, which indicates something of large mass on the outer parts of the system, which scientists believed could be a Saturn-sized planet. Investigations have been conflicting over the past few years, with researchers believing proving on and off that the planet exists, and with Hubble images being inconclusive, which is why we call it a zombie planet, because it keeps coming back to life in a way amongst researchers. The system may have gotten its strange ring shape from all of the comet activity as well, with over 2,000 comet impacts daily, many of those comets being over 1 kilometer wide. That would definitely kick up a lot of dust, so one does not simply walk into Fomalhaut. Number 7. Sunken. Okay, I threw this one in because it's currently spooky season while I record this, and having a jack-o'-lantern sun on the list couldn't be passed up. In 2014, the Solar Dynamics Observatory captured this creepy photo of the sun smiling right at us, like its features had been carved right out of a pumpkin. Solar flares and activity on the sun can be quite unpredictable, and the fact that it lined up to look like this is pretty cool. I just hope that there isn't some giant alien up there carving into our sun to decorate their intergalactic porch. But if that's the case, what are we gonna dress up Earth as? If Earth had a Halloween costume, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. Number 6. Greater pumpkin galaxies. Sticking with the Halloween theme, 120 million light years away in the Canis Major constellation, these two galaxies, called NGC 2292 and 2293, have earned a much cooler name, the Greater Pumpkin Galaxies. Because of their orange color and the fact that they look like a jack-o'-lantern, these galaxies doomed to collide in what we will see as slow motion make for a pretty spectacular image. Not to mention that NASA released the photos on Halloween a few years ago. Though it may be a fun Halloween-themed image, there is a scary truth about them. They're on track to collide with each other. And as the two galaxies draw closer, they begin to spin around one another and could eventually form one single spiral galaxy. But when that happens, there will be some cosmic consequences. Things smashing into each other at ludicrous speeds and exploding out into the darkness with the force of many nuclear bombs. But we don't actually know what will happen until it does. While some may say it reminds them of the Great Pumpkin, I would say that it looks more like a 100,000 light year across Jack Skellington. Number 5. The face of Mars. This freaky famous photo was taken by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976 and shows us what is very clearly a face embedded in the surface of Mars. A massive one at that, judging by the scale of what's around it. It very clearly has 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Uncanny, really, especially for being what NASA has called a cosmic coincidence, because with enough time and space, literally anything can happen. When investigated again in 2001 with a better camera, it was not to be seen. Was it just a mound of rocks and dirt that was blown or moved away, or was it something more sinister, watching us from the red planet, not knowing that we were finally looking back? Number 4. Black hole in the Milky Way. Black holes, one of the biggest driving forces in the cosmos. These places of pure darkness were once stars that shone bright in the sky, but when they died, instead of going supernova and exploding into a blast of color and energy, they collapsed in on themselves, creating a singularity so dense that it sucks everything around it in, with a force that nothing can escape, not even light. And while this may sound scary, they are incredibly necessary for our understanding of the universe to function. In fact, there are a few in our galaxy, but the biggest is Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. This is the second image ever captured of a black hole, and it's insane that we've developed the technology to be able to find and photograph them. Sag A sits at the center of our galaxy and is the reason why it spins and has its signature spiral shape. But the scary part is that it is not only spinning our galaxy, but consuming it, adding one more way that our galaxy can meet its demise. Not sure I'd rather that or colliding with another galaxy. Either way, none of us are going to be around to see it. Number 3. Hand of God. This is what's known as a pulsar wind nebula, and what you're seeing is a cloud of material that was ejected from a dying star, captured by X-ray telescopes functioning at different energy levels, lower energy detections appearing in red and green, and higher ones in blue. While we can explain what this stellar specter is made of, we can't quite figure out why it takes the shape it does, and NASA is still wondering if the pulsar particles are interacting in a specific way to make it look like a hand. When the new readings were taken, the ones appearing blue, they realized that one part of the hand is actually shrinking at a different speed than the rest, implying that the two areas were physically different, and making us all wonder what the hand is reaching towards. Number 2. Ghost Nebula. Known formally as SH2-136, really rolls off the tongue. This reflection nebula has some pretty startling shapes appearing within it. A reflection nebula does exactly what you think. It reflects light from nearby stars and galaxies. The energy from stars nearby is not strong enough to ionize the gas of the nebula, but it is enough to illuminate the dust and make it visible to us. Looking at the picture, it's a no-brainer why it's earned its much cooler name, the Ghost Nebula. You can see little figures waving from the edge of the space cloud. They even appear to have horns. I'm not sure what that's about, but I'm here for it. Give me all the spooky space specters. Again, this is just one of those cosmic coincidences that we can't explain, and that if we we existed at any other place in the universe we may not see. So we're pretty lucky, I guess. But let's hope our luck holds out for our final entry. Number 1, roaming black holes. Now, I told you about black holes, those things that suck in and destroy anything that comes near, even light, with no chance to escape. But they are pretty detectable, and we should be able to avoid them since they're such a huge cosmic entity, right? Well, what if I told you that there are many out there that are near impossible to detect? Because they're moving. That's right. Known as roaming black holes, these death spheres fly through our universe, devouring everything in their path. Only detectable by fluctuations in mass and light, they were most likely 2 black holes that attracted each other, then slingshotted off one another and were flung out into space. But here's the kicker. The Hubble telescope actually detected one closer than anyone would want, in our own Milky Way. While pointed near the center of the galaxy at Sagittarius A, a fluctuation in light and space shows that we may have one of these devouring our galaxy, and we would never see it coming until it was too late. So there you go, one of my, and possibly now one of your fears, roaming black holes. Space is crazy and terrifying. It is absolutely baffling and will never cease to impress me the technology and knowledge we have developed in our time as a species to investigate beyond our own planet, especially since at the end of the day, we're all just monkeys with car keys.